show. This is going to be yet another shitty podcast. YASP.
The socially distanced approach to podcasting, if I may.
Of course, but then again, even if there wasn't a COVID-19, I don't think we would have been able to do it any other way, you know.
We live in different
We're
cities.
geographically distanced people.
Yeah. We are geographically distant and we are socially distant.
Yeah, and autistically distant, you know, because I don't know about you, but I'm not comfortable seeing other humans for long periods of time.
I can get behind that.
This show is not going to have a particular structure, not because we're like let it be free of all that rigmarole, because we're two idiots that can't make it structural, you know. It's just
Exactly.
yeah, it's going to be a free flow, whatever.
I mean, as Paul McCartney famously said, let it be.
So I'm gonna start by talking about the new Justin Roiland show, Solar Opposites.
Well, I think before we do that, I don't think people know us.
Oh yeah. Is it important though? I mean,
I think
it's yet another shitty podcast. But if they want to not reference, if anyone listens to this, which I doubt, if they want to say that there are two guys and one of them is number one and number two. So just to make it a little easier for them to address us, I'm Amir Reza and you are
Ali,
okay.
which is a girl's name, but here it's a boy's name.
Really? Is that a girl's name? Where exactly is that a girl's name?
It's short for Allison.
Isn't that Ellie? I know it's, but I haven't heard Ali.
No, it's Ali.
Whatever. It's,
With the same, there is
yours
this,
is not short for anything. It's just
yeah,
the whole
it's the
thing.
name.
Yeah. Okay.
There is no, because there is a famous guy with my last name called Ali Reza. I'm not him either.
Of course. And we're 20 whatever years old. We're in our 20s, early 20s, and I think that's about what you need to know.
Yeah.
So let's jump to Solar Opposites now.
Yes, Solar Opposites. What do you think?
I binged it today, and it's short. I mean, it's 8 episodes. Each episode is about 20 minutes, and you detract the opening and stuff like that, probably 18 minutes. So it took, I guess, less than 4 hours. Much less than 4 hours. Let's see, 3 episodes, 1 hour, 2, about 2.5 hours.
And it's not like BoJack, which requires you to watch and then sit back and reflect. You can just
at
can
some
just
point
watch
I'm
them.
gonna admit to checking my phone whilst I was watching it, because it's not that engaging of a show. It doesn't require attention.
Yeah.
Before I talk about a detailed analysis, if I'm ever gonna do that, of the show, I'm gonna just say that it's basically Rick and Morty if they tried to have an arc about a specific, I don't know, planet. I know it's on Earth, but I'm just saying that it's a side story of Rick and Morty to me. It's nothing more than that.
I usually compare it to Disenchantment. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Yeah, I watched that one too.
Yeah. You know how Disenchantment is exactly like Futurama, but has like a new coat of paint?
Yeah, but go on. I'm gonna say something after.
Okay. To me, that's Solar Opposites. Solar Opposites feels like some rejected ideas for Rick and Morty that were given a new coat of paint.
I don't think it's about rejected ideas, and I don't think it's, in some ways it's exactly like Disenchantment, and in some ways it's not. Disenchantment is, as much as it is like Futurama, it's also, I'm not going to say it was successful at doing it, but it's trying to be in another universe. It's trying to be a medieval whatever, and it's trying to be a little more child friendly in some ways, and it's not trying to change the way the story is told, though. I mean, with Solar Opposites, I think Justin Roiland is trying to show that he can, in fact, make a show about more than two characters. Of course, that is supposedly the case with Rick and Morty too, but let's be honest, no one really cares about anyone other than Rick and Morty. And
If that's his intention, I'm gonna say he's not very successful in Solar Opposites
uh,
either.
yes, because he can't do that. I personally think he's not capable of creating probably more than one character, and this brings us to the voice acting.
Oh, yes,
uh,
the voice acting. The voice, quote unquote, acting.
I mean, for many people, maybe they only know Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty, but I have heard him in Adventure Time too, as a guest voice actor, I guess, and
Lemon Grab was his name.
I think the kind of like the result of an incestuous relationship kind of candy, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a lemon head.
Yeah,
Literally a lemon head.
and that episode takes place before Rick and Morty, right?
I
I mean,
think so. I know he has a cameo in Gravity Falls too. He's the time agent.
yeah, but that's a different story. Yeah, I know, but that's a different, and even that sounds like just like him.
Yeah, and his video game, Trevor Saves the
Yeah,
Universe.
yeah, he's. I'm just trying to say that probably, and not probably, definitely, this guy invented this voice, quote unquote, acting. Probably in the like 2008 or something, and ever since.
I mean, you have to see when Doc and Marty came out because that also has the same voice.
Oh, that I haven't watched. Then this is basically this guy only made one voice, and
Exactly.
then it,
Two, Rick and Morty. The
yeah,
oh God, jeez,
yeah,
Rick,
yeah,
and
two
yeah, yeah,
two voices, and they've been, I don't know what to say, extrapolated into every possible incarnation of a character.
exactly.
And okay, so the main guy in Solar Opposites is called Clavo, was it?
No, Corvo,
Corvo, yeah. And I mean,
like the
if
Dishonored character.
yeah, I mean, if you can't remember the guy's name after binging the whole thing, it means that your character building is subpar. Anyhow, uh, Corvo is a highly intelligent, not genius as in Rick genius, but highly intelligent alien who has no shortage of weird gadgets and sci-fi stuff, as they put it themselves. And he has a sidekick. What's his name?
Terry.
Yeah, Terry, who is not as idiotic or as hysterical as Morty, but just, the combination is kind of the same, and the most of the focus.
It's more Rick and Jerry, in my opinion.
But he's not a loser. He's this guy kicks back and enjoys his time.
Yeah, it's Jerry if Jerry had confidence.
Yeah, if Jerry had confidence and didn't care. If that was
Yeah,
a character, that would be Terry. And so, yeah, we have these guys, which are usually together. And then we have
the
two
replicants.
kids, the replicants, yeah, the two kids, Jesse and
Yamulak, I think.
Yamulek, yeah, something like that. And
And
uh,
the dog, the pupa.
the pupa, yeah. Which we're not going to spoil what this guy is supposed to be, but that's
Yeah,
basically probably what's the name of that kid in The Simpsons?
Maggie.
Maggie, yeah, that's the Maggie of this show.
Yeah. It's
It's
very much
very,
structured after The Simpsons, but instead of Homer being the idiotic one, Homer is the genius one here.
yeah, and
You have a sweet kid, which is your Lisa, and is the girl. You have a troublemaking boy, which is the Yamulak. Uh, that's that's the whole thing. Rick and Morty itself was a parody of Doctor Who, and
yeah,
Solar Opposites is like Third Rock from Sun meets The Simpsons.
Yeah, and we can say all of this stuff, but we need to ask the real question. Why does it exist?
Money?
This is something I can't find an answer to. Why does it exist? Because this guy could, and because it's Justin Roiland, and Hulu desperately needed a rival, not a rival.
It's the latter. Hulu desperately needed a show that wasn't Star Trek.
Yeah, and Justin Roiland was like, I have a bunch of ideas that don't don't
Yeah.
make it in any of my other projects.
Dan Harmon probably rejects a lot of them and he says, well, fuck you, I'm going to make my own show.
Yeah, and one weird thing about this show is that it references real world a lot. I mean, the brands, the movies, the incidents. It's just to the point that you wonder, like, why even is that there? It's just, what's the point? Sometimes the point to me was that it's just advertisement, nothing more.
Yeah, it might be.
The name PlayStation is dropped many times. Why? It's out of place, it doesn't serve any purpose, and could have easily been replaced with a made up name if they were trying to say a gaming console. And yet, much like
It's a licensing thing. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Did Sony came to them and say, we pay you a lot of money to advertise our console? Or did Justin Roiland went to Sony and said, we will pay you a lot of money so we can use the name of your console?
I think they have a good relationship with Sony, given the fact that I think that their game is an exclusive to PlayStation, right? The VR
Trevor
one.
saves the world?
Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Okay. But there's this paradox, not a paradox, there's this anachronism in it, like regular show. Regular show, we never know when that show is taking place, but the tech is, I mean, the video games they play are all 80s video games and video game consoles. Yet the formats they use, after a while, it changes from VHS to DVD. Like, that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
And
they have YouTube.
Yeah, and they have everything together, and you're like, is this nostalgia? Is this idiocy? What is this? And here, in one of the first episodes, the guy talks, I wonder, I think it's Terry that says it, I wonder if, oh yeah, it's about fun. What's the stupid character's name? Fun Bucket. Yeah, Fun Bucket. They're in line to see Fun Bucket, and he says, I wonder if he's a Nintendo guy or a Sega guy. And this is an 80s and at best 90s saying. And then we see this guy using a Nintendo Switch, and then it's PlayStation 4 all over the place. I mean, Nintendo or Sega, is this? And then there's PlayStation 4. Why do they exist in the same series?
Why not use PS or Xbox? The console wars of now.
Yeah, and why change from Nintendo? I mean, the guy is obsessed with Nintendo, and then it's PlayStation everywhere. I mean, it's weird. I know it's not important in the storytelling, but it really ruins the
immersion,
the atmosphere, the world, the facts of this world. I mean, what are we facing here? Because when they said Nintendo or Sega, I was like, oh, maybe they're in 90s America. But then I realized he's playing Nintendo Switch and there's PlayStation 4.
I have a sort of a theory for that. My theory is that Justin Roiland, as a creator, is kind of a one-trick pony. His humor, his references, all he does is I don't know if you've seen this YouTube videos that everything you used to love as a kid was bad and was teaching you to be like a Nazi or something. And that is Justin Roiland's whole deal. The fact is, he uses these sitcom tropes to create like a cynical narrative, which is not a bad thing, but when you do it in 2 TV shows, when you do it in all of your video games,
Yeah, it
you
just loses it.
can't you do something else for once? I mean, I love you, man, but do something else. The thing about solar opposites is that I'm going to do a historical reference. Sergio Leone, until the 80s, was a one-trick pony because his style, it only worked in Western
Hmm.
because he wasn't allowed to do anything else. It only worked in Westerns, and so he was a one-trick pony. And if Sergio Leone had died after Docu-Sucker, I would have agreed that, well, he was a good director, but he didn't do anything else.
Outside of his comfort zone. Okay.
Exactly. But when he made Once Upon a Time in America, he proved to us that no, I can make my style work outside of this genre. Now, Justin
Uh-huh.
Roiland isn't a fat Italian man, so I'm pretty sure he has a very long life in front of him. And I'm hoping the next project, because Solo Opposite, it's not it. And
Yeah.
I hope the next project be at least something else. Improv is fun, but when all of your humor is based upon improv,
It loses its meaning.
yeah. How many times do we have to hear like weird sounding words, gooblers, fun bucket?
Yeah. Yeah.
They are fun, but
And the reason I said at first it feels like a 90s show because Fun Bucket, the commercial, TV commercial that Fun Bucket was coming to their mall, all of that felt 90s and it was a nostalgic episode. I mean, the guy was like, let's make a 90s episode about stupid characters we grew up with as kids, and it's been done, I would argue, in a much better way in regular shows. So, and that show is all about nostalgia in all its good ways and bad ways. So this one just doesn't really work for me.
I understand. Remember, these storylines, I would argue, almost all of the storylines in Solar Opposites, they are sitcom tropes. We have seen Simpsons episodes like them, Family Guy episodes like them, South Park episodes like them.
Yeah.
It's like one of those mirror universe stuff. What if Rick and Morty did those episodes? The problem is Rick and Morty does those episodes too, so what are we watching?
One of the things that made this show not important or valuable to me, but I understood why Justin Roiland would be kind of excited about it, is the world that the replicants have created in their room. What is it
Oh, the
called?
wall. The
Yeah, the
wall.
wall. The wall is it's a genre in and of itself. I mean, the movie, the skyscraper.
Yeah, it's a cliched story.
Yeah, it's a cliched story, but I'm just saying that this is the kind of story you can't tell in Rick and Morty because it requires more than one episode.
Yeah, I get that. Which I
Yeah,
think
and
comes down to the fact that Rick and Morty is a weekly show, but Solar Opposites is a streaming show, so you have more
yeah, that, and
freedom.
also you really can't continue a sub story in Rick and Morty for more than
Yeah.
at most 2 episodes, but this has been going for like 5 episodes, I guess. So yeah, but why does it exist?
The problem is, I like Justin Roiland, and let me say this: if you like Rick and Morty, you're going to like Solar Opposite. It's not a bad show. I'm not saying it's a bad show.
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah. But the problem is, Solar Opposites, it's just amplifying a problem that Rick and Morty also has. Solar Opposites is taking like this movie parodies, these cliched stories, tells them exactly that way, then at the last 10 seconds just adds like a cynical approach and it wants you to applaud it. Like the Wall episode. The Wall episode, it's literally something like Escape from New York, a John Carpenter movie.
It's just like every move of this story you can predict, even if you're not a movie buff or I don't know. It's just so cliched and it does nothing to make it, I don't know, interesting more than Rick and Morty already has.
For some reason, I think he hides behind the fact that it's a parody, man. It's a parody.
And that's why I'm gonna say that sometimes it kind of felt like he was taking it seriously. Not that he didn't know it's a parody, he did, but he was like so much into his parody that he was also trying to prove a point in a way, which is sad if that's the case.
It's one of those things that you think you're going to have a message and you want to say it. Because Rick and Morty also has that problem that it has very surface level messages.
Oh, yeah, and oh my god. First of all, let's just get it over. Rick and Morty exists, and the humor exists, the world exists. So why do you go on and make a second show? Well, if you're making The Simpsons and do Futurama, you're doing a good job because those things are really different things in many ways. But when you do this, you have not built a warm atmosphere that feels like, I don't know, all the other sitcoms. Like
Yeah,
there's no friendship or just I don't know how to say it, but you don't feel like they're family. It's just so messed
it's
up.
it's one of those things that I can hear people who are defending it saying that, but that's the point. That in sitcoms the families are fake. We know that.
Okay, if that's the point has been proven once. Why do it twice with exactly the same formula?
Exactly. I mean, you make like a parody of the show Cheers, and you
Yeah,
make it like it's literally it's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's like an antithesis to Cheers,
yeah.
and it feels weird if the creators, I don't remember the name, Rob McElhern, I think, comes out and creates another show in a bar that's an antithesis to Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done it once and you've done it good enough.
Yeah, why go there again?
Yeah.
Which
I think
brings us to surface level messages.
imperialism bad, consumerism bad. Okay.
While your whole show is just basically a big advertisement. And one of the messages I think they were trying to say, and I hope that wasn't the case, because if that was the case, that would be really, really low. I mean, low with a capital L, just bad. There's this episode that Pooba, was it? The dog kind of thing?
Pupa, yeah.
Pupa, yeah. This thing goes into an auction. Uh, I think exotic creatures auction thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
all the characters in cages are old cartoon characters like Disney characters,
Paddington.
Paddington, I don't know, Warner Bros. Maybe, and they're
Mother
in
Goods. They are this.
yeah, they're in cages, and I felt like what he was trying to say was that the patent holders or the creators of these characters are keeping them in cages in a way by not letting them reappear in maybe more modern facets. I if that
To be honest, Paddington, I think is like it's a very old children's book. I'm not sure if it is, in fact, still in a copyright place, but it has a movie, so it might be.
I'm just saying that if they were trying to say that these characters deserve to be freed from their cages, that would be really low.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think the biggest message there was that the rich, they just, oh, those rich people and their crazy, crazy, crazy habits. They buy these mythical creatures and they like do stuff to them, which is, I don't know if you remember or not, but that's the plot of the claymation movie Pirates, which Queen Victoria was eating like extinct animals.
Yeah, if that was the message, big thumbs down. That was just
Yeah.
messed up. But we've talked enough about Solar Up. As much as I would like to rant about how many things this show doesn't get right and how it's nothing of importance. it's
Yeah,
just it's just extra fodder for the big fans of Rick and Morty, and I'm sure they're going to glorify it. But to me, it's a cartoon that shouldn't exist, but exists because Hulu needed a show and Justin Roiland is hot.
exactly.
And it's just, well, okay. It's not bad, but it's, ah, you know.
Show like a million other shows.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of other better cartoons.
Exactly. There are better cartoons in streaming services. I mean, BoJack Horseman and Big Mouth, in my idea, both are better than the
Oh, then what?
S01E01.
In some ways, even Paradise PD is kind of better because it's different. I'm not saying the show is better. I'm just saying by watching that you get a new thing.
You
You
get
get
to
a new
see
sense of
very
humor.
stupid humor. You get to see like the
Yeah, it's a different
lowest
thing.
brow humor.
Yeah, but it's different, so it's
Yeah,
better
it's
than grade B humor of someone that's just making it hackneyed. But
yeah.
let's move to this one. I'm not going to say anything good about because it really sucks. And let's move to David Cage. I thought it's David Cage, but it was just recently brought to my
He's
attention that
French.
it's
Yeah, he's
it's
French.
French
It's
and it's
David.
David Cage. Where do I begin with David Cage and his megalomaniac personality?
Let me clarify something. I've only played Indigo Prophecy,
Oh, you mean
but
Fahrenheit or Indigo Prophecy?
yeah,
Same game, different names in different regions, I think.
yeah. But I have seen gameplays of Heavy Rain and Detroit Becomes Human and Beyond
Uh,
Two Souls.
Sadly, I have played all of his games. I haven't finished Detroit yet. I'm playing it. I have started
Oh
playing it,
shit!
but I've played and finished all the other games more than once.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say that what started as an interesting take on storytelling with Fahrenheit or Indigo Prophecy moved to technical graphics porn in Heavy Rain, and then a bloated, false sense of confidence resulted in, my God, Beyond, which is beyond crap.
Yeah, Beyond is really shitty. I mean, I was watching it and I was cringing. I couldn't imagine playing it.
Oh my God. And then we have Detroit, which we're going to talk about Detroit in particular. But let's just say, what are David Cage's creations? What is he trying to do?
If you ask him, he will say emotions.
I'm just gonna say that if you look at his creations as video games, first of all, they're not video games. Let's just be honest. I think the promise of early DVD that you could, change the story, and not the story, I don't know, make decisions in a movie, that was in some ways more engaging and proactive than what you do in David Cage video games.
They are chore simulators.
And not even good chore simulators. I mean,
Exactly, they have been better. I played House Flipper, which you go around remodeling houses and sell them to people. And I think that was a better game.
so to understand why he's important these days, because I'm pretty sure if this guy with his ideas had come at, I don't know, 2010, he would have never been given even a dollar. But he started his career at what, when was Fahrenheit released? Let me just Google that. This is a 2005 video game. So yeah, it adds up. 2005.
We had a Stronghold 2, I think, that year.
No, I'm just saying this because 2005 we had a lot of promises for DVD with giving us different viewing angles, giving us a choice to drive the plot in different directions and result in different endings, and basically none of that came. And we were about to give up on that idea, even though it was marketed and invested in by probably millions of dollars. Then this guy comes and says, "Wait! Maybe doing it in movie format is the wrong way. We should do it in video games." And I think the first one is published by Atari. Yeah, it's published by
If I
Atari.
remember correctly, Indigo Prophecy, even the menu wasn't new game, it was play movie.
I don't remember that.
I played it fairly recently. I didn't play it when it came out.
Uh,
Because I was too young to play games that had nudity in them.
I think I played it at 2007 or 8, 2 or 3 years after its release.
To be
And
honest, it's one of the. Can I just rant very quickly? It's one of those stupid things. People hype it up. It has nudity in it. It doesn't. First of all, I looked.
it that's that's probably 1,000 polygons at best in that scene,
The,
and it's
the
just
nudity, the nudity in Indigo Prophecy is. It's worse than reading a romance novel.
yeah. But Fahrenheit, in my opinion, was a good experience.
It should have been a one-off.
Yeah, that should have been it. David Cage does Fahrenheit and that's it, the end. And that would have been a good experience. I'm not gonna name it a video game because if you call his creations video games, I'm not gonna give them even a 0 out of a million because they will suck. And if you call them movies, they're gonna suck because he's not a storyteller. He sucks at storytelling because of the reasons I will get into as we talk. But if you look at them as new ways of telling even that is not new. We've had books that would just tell you to go to certain
Choose your own
pages.
adventure.
Yeah, and they're much older than his approach. I mean,
Visual novels are practically like this.
yeah, and the very reason he was able to get money for his idea and ambition was because that thing existed and people were like, let's do it in video games. So I'm not going to say it was new, but he was one of the first few people that did it in a big scale at a, in a not AAA game, but AA perhaps. And
It was good graphics for the time.
yeah,
It was
it
smooth.
had a team involved in making a big project.
Yeah. It
That
wasn't an
was
indie project that like two people in a room made.
yeah, exactly. And that's what makes this thing unique for its time. It was kind of a
Yeah.
first in that regard. And it worked because the story was okay. The story was not the best, but first of all, it's 2005. Not great stories aren't a thing in video games. And it's again 2005. It's just all the excess and idiocy of this guy works in that game because it's 2005 and the story is supernatural. It doesn't take itself that seriously. It knows its limits.
And even though the endings suck ass, the endings, and a
Yeah,
lot of people don't even reach that far. I'm pretty sure Indigo Prophecy is one of those games that has the most unfinished stat in the world.
probably.
You just get bored at some time and leave it.
And then we move to Heavy Rain.
Anyway, who
Okay.
is the origami killer?
Oh my god. I think Heavy Rain became Heavy Rain for a few very obvious reasons. The first one is the graphics. The graphics
Which
were like,
looks terrible now.
yeah, it does look terrible now, but I remember back then it was it. It was the game to go to if you wanted graphics. It was just PlayStation 3 was not new. PlayStation 3 was out 2006, but it was becoming a household item by then. And
And
everyone
just a thing that I'm not sure. PlayStation 3 lost to Xbox that
yeah,
generation, right?
that generation it really lost. I mean, it didn't lose as in oh it lost like Xbox One did this generation, but it lost
Oh
because
yeah.
it was PlayStation. I mean, PS2 was the king, and then you have PS3, which is doing just okay. Just okay is a loss. So this game was here to justify the cell architecture of the CPU. It was here to justify all that extra buck you put into this device. It was here to show us the promises of this new generation. It was just heralding a lot of hopes and whatever. And people were hyped, and it was marketed like fuck. Oh, go on.
I just want to mention that even though it might be a good graphic game then, but it has no style, which is why it looks terrible now, and I don't see any reason to go back to it.
It has no graphical style, but Cage has tried to make the game appear kind of brownish, like autumnish, depressed kind of thing.
Which I mean, there are better games that do that. And they do
Okay.
have a style. I mean, Deadly Premonition, I think it came before that, right?
I'm not sure about the release date.
I remember
But
that game a lot more than I remember Heavy Rain.
look,
The
let's
only
just put
thing
it
I
this way.
remember from Heavy Rain, because I watched the gameplay, was the guy running around yelling, Sean, Sean, Sean.
This game was a big deal even to me because of a few reasons. First of all, I had an Xbox and I didn't have a PlayStation, so I had to borrow my cousin's for this game. And it was really hyped. The graphics looked really just out of this world back then. And also, PS3 had 6 axis, and that was a big deal. I mean, I know we had the Wii, the console, but that was a big deal. I mean, in Heavy Rain,
I know what you're talking about. The gimmick that for opening the door, I don't know, move the controller.
yeah, and for Heavy Rain, getting a PS3, seeing that graphics, and uh, doing that things with your controller, it was all of those things together kind of overshadowed the limits and the shortcomings of the gameplay and the
And the
story.
story.
Yeah, and you were excited. You were excited. This is new technology. This is an advancement towards
We are
better days.
living in the future, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And you were like, if this is happening now, what can we see 10 years later? Well, guess what? You're gonna see Beyond and Detroit.
Exact, the
Yeah,
exact same game, but new gimmicks. Can I ask a question? I
yeah,
don't know that, so I'm asking. Did all the gimmicks that Heavy Rain did with the controller, any
yeah.
other good games did that?
I don't think so because they are intrusive to gameplay. Not, they don't add anything to the gameplay. They just fuck it up. But when your gameplay doesn't have anything else, you have to at least make the player do stupid shit with their controllers.
So it didn't even influence anything.
Well, this isn't Heavy Rain's fault. We gotta be honest. It's Sony's fault. Sony has the greatest record in producing bullshit controllers. I mean, great job. 6 axis basically didn't mean shit other than a few exclusive, and even that was limited to exclusives for the early days of PlayStation 3. By the end of it, nobody gave a shit about the. I mean, in Uncharted, the first one, you had to control the grenades with that 6 axis, and God, that just made you furious. It sucked. I mean, there was another way that you could do it without the motion controllers, and I always did that because it blew. It blew.
Yeah.
And
And it's topical because PlayStation recently announced a new controller that has a bunch of added
oh,
bullshit.
yeah, and everyone is again hyped about it. Oh my God.
I love Xbox's reaction. Yeah, it's the same controller that we had before because our controller was the best controller ever made.
The Xbox controller, hands down, the best controller out there. and it
Yeah.
can't be improved that much. It's just because we're humans, we're not aliens. The form factor is there. You don't need to add anything crazy to it. And then we had PS4 touchscreen, lights for whatever the fuck reason, and a speaker. Okay, that was used in probably 10 games, the speaker, and the touchscreen. I think the only good usage of the touchscreen was in the HD remaster of Okami, one of my favorite games of all time, which was then again done much better in Nintendo DS and Switch. So, and even then, it's not like you can use it like that. It's still PS2, but sometimes it helps. So, the touchscreen, in my opinion, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't add anything to any game. The 6-axis is still useless. And
But it
now,
has all that bullshit in Detroit.
yeah, I'm gonna go there too. So this controller is still after, well, it's been 14 years. After 14 years, all of these features don't mean shit. And now, not only do you keep them in your new controller, you make the touchscreen bigger. God, why? You make the lights bigger. Okay, it's an aesthetic thing. It looks good. And now you just say dual sense. Ooh. And I bet the dual sense they're talking about is just like giving a fancy name to new vibrations the same way Apple has taptic touch engine. You know,
Oh,
just gentler vibrations probably, which is gonna help you masturbate at much better rates than a normal controller.
yes, you play like a high octane game, and
Yeah.
it's much cheaper than an actual vibrator.
Yeah, and you can program it in with much better, software. Part of the blame has to be pinned on Sony for creating bullshit controllers. They're just, I mean, all of us have to pay for the components because some idiot thought they'd be cool in video games. I mean, if you really want to be creative with video gaming consoles, look at Nintendo and just shut up. They're doing it, they've been doing it great, and every time they did a good job, and they will continue doing a good job because they know what they're doing and they don't force these elements into their games. When you were playing Mario Galaxy on Wii, you were enjoying it, it wasn't torture. Yeah, and when you're playing Mario Odyssey on Switch with
Oh,
all the
Odyssey was Switch. I'm sorry.
Odyssey is on Switch. It first of all, it doesn't force you to use the motion controls, and when you do, it's done perfectly good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not forced. So just maybe leave it to Nintendo and just produce a good form factor, which you finally did after millions of years.
I mean, to be honest, if you look at it, Xbox has the best hardware, Sony has the best games, and Nintendo has the best consoles.
Uh, I think the exclusive games on Sony are really good, but I can't. I'm gonna say the best games are still Nintendo, man. Nintendo. I mean, who could imagine you can keep making Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, I don't know, Kirby. I mean, look at Kirby. Who could even imagine Kirby could be a great game in 2000, I don't know, 18? It's just ridiculous, but it is.
No, it's
Because
one of those things that, to be honest, I don't really like, and I know a lot of Nintendo fans probably kill me because of it, but I really don't like Nintendo games.
I know why you don't like him. I know why you don't
In my
like him.
defense, so you can ridicule me. I am a Bethesda fanboy, so ridicule away.
No, it's not about that. I know why you don't like them. That's because you're not a gamer. And
Yeah,
by gamer, I mean Nintendo games don't have stories at all. They're just non-existent, and the atmosphere is just child games. I mean, look at them, colorful. So all it's all gameplay.
it also helps that I never had a
Yeah,
I
not having a Nintendo console does, but
yeah.
I know you're a story-oriented kind of person. Story is really important to you. Stories, different
Yeah.
worlds, atmospheres, the arts. Well, that kind of doesn't exist in Nintendo. I mean, it's beautiful,
Exactly.
the art is great, but it's Nintendo. It's just, if you don't like that art, you can't enter Nintendo.
It's quintessential gaming. It's literally come for the gameplay.
Exactly. But me being a gamer, and really, really, really the only thing that I do care about in a game is the gameplay. I gotta say, one of the best games out there. The gameplay mechanics, the whole thing is just so smooth and so well built. It's like Swiss watch. It's just everything works perfectly.
I can't
If
argue with that.
Yeah, so the gameplay is amazing, and if you can get along with the fact that there's no story, which I happily do because I'm here to play a game. I'm not here to experience anything else.
I
But
know,
we're
but we are
digressing
derailing.
from our
Yeah, we are
main point.
derailing. To be honest, I wanted to say this. Yeah, this tagline that it's Sony's fault for making a shitty controller, but it wasn't Sony's fault for making a shitty game.
Exactly. They contributed to that shitty game.
The same way Kinect contributed to Peter Molyneux's biggest lie.
Oh my god. Let's not talk about Peter Molyneux. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can insult this guy for 2 days straight and just release that.
Listen, I love the man. I love his game, but I can't do that also.
He has given us a lot of good things and a lot of bad things, and a lot of good things that would have been great if he hadn't promised much more than they were. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Let's keep him for another episode.
Yeah, it's just Peter Molyneux, the harbinger of hate and love-hate relationship. Detroit. So I just recently started playing this game, and it's, first of all, the graphics aren't there anymore. When you were playing Heavy Rain, it killed you. But you're playing this game, and you're like, so where's the progress? Because we have a lot of games that look as good or much better than this. We have had God of War, we have had Horizon, we have had Red Dead Redemption. Even
Spider-Man.
GTA 5 looks kind of better than this game, and that game came 5 years before this.
One of the things that kind of gets on my nerve, I don't know why, it's a minor thing, but Clancy Brown's hair, the police lieutenant, that
Yeah, I know.
it
Uh,
it it looks really bad. I mean, really bad. It
Yeah, the
looks like
hair generally, I mean, I personally think the best hair I've ever seen in a video game to date can be found in Uncharted games. I mean, Uncharted 4. When you look at the hair in Uncharted, oh my god, it's perfect. And definitely The Last of Us 2 will give us the best hair yet.
Naughty
But
Dog is
yeah,
pretty good
Naughty
at
Dog
hair.
has perfected the art of making hair. But
Yeah, but your game looks looks like PS2 graphics for some reason. It
the
doesn't look
character
like
itself looks weird. I mean, it's just.
it's Clancy Brown. It's an actor. I don't.
And I know it's an Android and it's not supposed to be lifelike that much, but
No, not the Android. Not the Android.
yeah, I know.
The other guy.
The aging guy.
Yeah, the aging guy.
Okay.
Hair
Yeah, I
looks
gathered. Yeah,
lovely.
because I have problems with the Android too. Well, that guy, yeah, it's not limited to his hair. I mean, look at his face.
It's a shitty actor. The Android guy. I know he's
Yeah,
an Android, but the girl is also an Android, and the other black guy is the Android.
yeah, they're better actors. Yeah.
The better actors. This guy is just a shitty actor. What I meant, Clancy Brown, the
Yeah,
aging
yeah, I
guy.
gathered. Yeah, everything about that guy looks like early PS3 games. And
Why?
I don't know. And why is there a blurred effect every part of the screen? It kind of gives you a headache or makes you feel nauseated or something. It's weird. It's not aesthetic. It's there to show we didn't create a big world and you have to focus on things I want you to focus on. And
Which is a
my
problem with David Cage and Telltale Games, that they seem like, okay, we are going to give you an option to do anything you want, but as long as you follow this path that I put out for you.
Yeah, they're very limiting. And okay, so this game, I'm not gonna spoil the story, but it's about Detroit in 2038, is it, or 35? Anyhow, it's not that far into the future.
To be honest, I'm going to spoil it. Have you seen Blade Runner? Have you seen iRobot? You have played Detroit Becomes Human.
Have you
It's yet
read?
another androids have
Let's go
feelings.
back maybe 100 years. Have you read sci-fi books of those days? Have you read
Have you,
Asimov?
have you read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
Anyhow,
It's
so
a tale as old as fucking time.
the premise is that Detroit, once the automobile city, has turned into Android City, and the androids are taking people's jobs, taking the jobs of everyone in America. Yeah, they took our tubes. Yeah, and we have three kind of main stories. One is an artist. The other one is like junkie with his daughter, and the other one is a detective android. And
Yeah.
they will come together at certain points, then get far from each other again. But then it's just intertwined supposedly,
It's
and
literally just asking you the same old questions about AI. Can an android create art? Can an android love? Can an android defy order?
And oh my god, let's just say that David Cage is a fucking idiot with the emotional intelligence of a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Because in this game, first of all, it wants you to root for the androids in the worst. It forces it into your mouth. It just rapes you to feed you this.
It's the same approach that bad race movies have, movies that talk about racial issues. The bad ones, the first thing they do is like show a Ku Klux Klan member, and you realize, oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, no human in this world is a good guy. You control the androids, you walk in the street, the protesters beat you up. The junkie father is so kitschy. I mean, he defines kitschy characters to me. Black and white writing. The guy doesn't leave you any room for sympathy. He's just, are
Exactly.
humans like that? And even if there are humans like that, should we portray them in works of art in 2018? I mean, come on, it isn't 1950s. He might have as well made him Russian to check all the marks.
You show the good and the bad. The reason we look at an abusive character, to go back to our previous subject, Corvo in Solar Opposites is an abusive character.
Yeah.
But you see him vulnerable and you realize, okay, I may like him.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are either really good or
Yeah.
really bad. I think David Cage might suffer from splitting the psychoanalysis kind of thing, that he sees things in binaries. Seriously, I mean, you can't be this big of an idiot.
Humanity, it's either really good or it's really bad. There is no in between.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, these androids, I mean, why the fuck would an android that is capable of doing everything be used as a mannequin? Is the shop owner retarded to pay top dollar for something that's just there as a mannequin? Why would he buy that when we could just, you know, just make the aesthetics of a human a mannequin, which has been. Why do we need to replace mannequins? And even if we do, why do we need to get the same model that can create, I don't know, any work of art? So
I wrote an essay a long time ago about AI, and I said the most stupid plot hole in almost most sci-fi stories about AIs comes down to this. We create AI, we give it ability to destroy us, and then we limit that and say, please don't destroy us. Why do you give mannequins the ability to do that in the first place?
I'm not saying it's stupid to do that. I'm saying it's costly to do that when you can do it with a retarded mannequin that only stands and turns around, if that's all you want to do. Yeah, and then androids are just shown as basically androids in Detroit are African Americans in early 1910s and 20s in America. They're slaves.
It's before that, dude. 1860s, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just remembered Abraham Lincoln. Yeah,
but
but
they are slaves.
some parts are 1920. That the reason I made the mistake is that some parts are 1920s, like no androids allowed, and some
On the
parts,
bus.
yeah, and some
Yeah.
parts are slave markets, which are 1860s and something like that. So yeah, but it looks at them as slaves. It's the struggle of African Americans in androids, if one can put it that way.
So again, go back to our earlier subject. It's a very surface level message. It's a very surface level allegory.
Yeah, and then there's the atmosphere of this game. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm an android. People have lost their jobs because of me, but for whatever reason, every bathroom I go to or every room I see is either a human writing ban androids every part of the goddamn bathroom or an android writing I'm alive or I feel too. I mean, oh my god, are you 5 years old, David Cage? What is this?
It's like it's like the guy that watches Elephant Man for the first time and I am not an animal.
Jesus.
I'm a human being. I feel it too.
I mean, screaming it and writing it
No,
all
I
over the wall.
I've seen it.
And this guy, David Cage, apparently loves fat people that are abusive and assholes. I've seen the character in all of his creations. And this game doesn't even let you replay a mission before you finish the game. And this is one of the other problems I have with David Cage. He always insists that these games are an experience and you only need to play them once and leave them alone after that. And you shouldn't look at them as video games where you can replay it and change it. And then again, after each mission, it gives us a map of how much choices we've had that we haven't touched, and it gives us a reason to replay the game, but doesn't let us do it right
I mean,
away.
if you can't replay a game, why do you pay $60 to play it?
Thank you. And why would we not? Why does he want us not to play his games again? I think that's because he knows that he tells us there are multiple storylines, but in fact there are
Exactly.
probably only 2 or 3. So we will realize that he was lying to us. Like if we do something, like let's just say in Heavy Rain, there was this mission that I don't remember the character's name, but the father, his hand would get shot.
Yeah, Sean, right?
Yeah, and no matter what you did, his hand would either get shot or broken. His hand would become useless. So the storyline would be the same, just different reason. I mean, isn't that lying? This is exactly what Telltale does too. But Telltale at least they have better stories. Not in all of their titles, but they have given us good stories.
Yeah, but the problem is with Telltale and with David Cage is that okay, you seem to really like telling this one story.
Yeah,
Why didn't you make an animated movie?
yeah. But at least, I mean, we had Wolf Amongst Us and, I don't know, Borderlands. We had few good stories in Telltale, but David Cage, we haven't had a good story.
He wants you to feel, but
He miserably fails. And oh my god, I mean, I'm playing this game, so when you're playing this game, you're either controlling the character in different environments, or it's QTA, quick time action events, press circle, press X, press square here, shake your controller, I don't know, swipe the touch screen, and I just feel like an idiot when I'm playing this game.
It's gimmicks. He knows there is no gameplay, so he tries to force it in.
And the world is fucked. There are invisible walls everywhere, and if there's like a vacuum cleaner in your way, you can't go there, or if there's a character in front of you, there's a radius that you can't get close to, and when the character is programmed to walk a certain path, if you're in the path, you will be forced, like in Star Wars, away from his walking path. I mean, these are the things that had to be done in PS2, not to be seen in 2018 on PS4. It's a shame. It's a shame that this is a game.
Just remind me, Detroit came out the same year God of War did.
I think it did. Not only God of War, but surprise, surprise, Red Dead Redemption. Oh my god.
Honestly, how?
I think.
It's one of those things. As a writer and filmmaker, it's one of those things that you kind of imagine. Like when in 1971,
Yeah.
how did people think we're going to make movies and then went and saw Godfather and then continued with making movies? It's this. I mean,
Well, the problem is that they were making movies. David Cage is not making video games. He's making shit, interactive shit.
yeah.
He's making.
I mean, the
Yeah.
arrogance. You look at the year that had God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, and you say, I'm going to make like this tech demo that isn't a tech demo. I think the only thing tech demo about it is the menu, I've heard.
Yeah, the menu is supposedly interesting, but after a while it becomes irritating.
Okay, some poor 3D artist spent like 200 hours putting freckles and speck of skin on a wire model.
Yeah.
Well done.
And let's just remember the tech behind Heavy Rain and also Beyond and Detroit, and the tech that was developed by an Australian company for LA Noire, the Rockstar game. And boy, have they all failed because they suck. We're not here to look at the details on the face of the characters in a video game. We're here, I'm talking about myself, first of all, for the gameplay, and then for the story and the feels of it. And if that can be done in GTA San Andreas with bad graphics, I'm sure freckles aren't the most important part about a video game.
Exactly. I mean, when you have more emotional connection to, I don't know, your horse in Stronghold 2 than you have with any character in Detroit, you're doing something wrong.
I don't know why it exists. I mean, Sony has a great repertoire of games. They have Horizon, they have God of War, they have Little Big Planet, they have Dreams, they have Spider-Man, they have Yakuza, they have there are a lot of games. Why am I drawing blanks? They have Infamous, they have a few titles that you would buy a console just to play that one title. And Detroit.
I know, as an avid PC gamer, I have been tempted to buy a console just to play God of War.
Yeah, they're that good. All of them are doing something really right. I mean, God of War.
And without putting like 200 hours into freckles and
yeah, and I forgot about Uncharted and The Last of Us. I mean, there are a lot. It's a catalog of great games, and I mean, look at it. The Last of Us came in 2013. It's been 7 years. The second one is coming, and we still love the game. It had great music. It had great storytelling, and the gameplay. While it was a bad gameplay, it was a game. It didn't suck playing that game. It was enjoyable. Not enjoyable enough for you to play it 3 times, but enjoyable for the first time. But playing Detroit is agony. Every second is agony. I feel like a retard when I'm playing this game. It's not a game, playing this shit.
It's one of those things that I had this problem also with Telltale games, that they create characters with very specific personalities, and then they ask you to put yourself in their shoes. I can't do that because he's not.
And even when I do, it doesn't result in much difference.
Yeah, because the thing is, for example, in Detroit, I'm not going to do this thing. Well, you're not giving me the option to not do this thing. Okay, in Last of Us, or let me in one of my favorite story games, BioShock Infinite, Booker has a very specific character, but the game doesn't treat you like, okay, but you can't be Booker. You can do whatever you want. No,
Yeah.
you do what Booker does.
It doesn't give you the illusion of freedom.
Yeah.
It just tells you that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Booker is Booker. You don't want it, fuck you, fuck off.
You know, it's the same as when your parents tell you you can be whatever you want, but in action they limit what you can be and want to be in many ways. David Cage and Telltale are like that. They tell you you can do whatever you want, but you know the level is this small, and also a few options, and also all of them are the same thing. So yeah, basically there's only one thing. I think this episode is going to be, even after the edits, an hour long.
It's okay. Most podcasts are. And this is yet another shitty podcast, remember?
Okay, but as much as I would like to, ramble on about how much Detroit sucks and shouldn't exist, and how much I hate David Cage and his emotional immaturity and retardness, and also talk about a few other things like Cuphead and things like that. I guess we'll have to talk about them.
I think we can keep them for the next episode, Cuphead.
Yeah, next episode.
Because I have a
But
personal history also with Cuphead.
to sum up, Solar Opposites,
Good show.
decent show. It's okay. Watch it. It's not that long.
Exactly. In quarantine, what else you're going to do at this?
Yeah.
Give it a watch.
And also, if you're a fan of Justin Roiland and Rick and Morty, it doesn't hurt. It's cool. It'll make you laugh a few times. It has a few good jokes.
Yeah.
And Detroit, just stay the fuck away. Just
Yeah.
Even if you have that game and if you've played it, I wish there was a Men in Black stick that we all would forget playing this shit.
I haven't played Detroit, but don't even watch it on YouTube because I have.
Yeah, it's just stay away from David Cage and everything he has made or will make in the future. Just like, pretend he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It'll make the world a much better place. A much better place.
I mean, when we go like to the root of it, it's yet another instance of French people are very shitty artists.
And being shitty, they think they are the best in the world. It's a combination of stupidity, being shitty, and being a megalomaniac at the same time.
Exactly.
Nothing good comes out of that. Nothing good.
Exactly. All the things that were good came out a while ago. Let's just nuke France. This is my manifesto. Nuke France. I mean, we are going to lose Eiffel Tower, but I bet you Germans can make a better one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds more neo-Nazi than it should, but okay.
It's against French people.
Yeah, but it's what Neo-Hitler would say.
Yeah, exactly. You are watching the birth of Neo-Hitler on yet another shitty podcast.
It was fun
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, it was.
And I hope more than 5 people listen to this in its entirety.
Me too.
Yeah. Which I highly doubt, though. Bye.
Bye.